Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. That actually plays in the intro of this movie. The moment that happened, I knew Spider-Man had come home. Pun intended. Comic books are not for kids anymore. Neither are comic book movies. Yeah, you could take your child to see Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but parents who do that, I strongly recommend putting aside some cash for the therapy your kid's gonna need in the future. Yes, it's true, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a much lighter tone than that of DC. But ever since Iron Man 1, basically a decade now if you can believe time's gone that quickly, these movies have been aimed more eternal adolescents, like yours truly, than actual adolescents. Yeah, people like me who can now afford the toys, the games and the DVDs that their parents never got them when they were younger, who used to get bullied for being geeks at school, and who now live to see the secret passions of their youth become big studio tentpole films and the hot buzz in newspapers. And this is a big part why Spider-Man Homecoming, despite being the 6th Spider-Man film in 15 years, feels so fresh and lively. It's the first costumed caper in what seems like forever to be aimed squarely at the high school crowd which it so vividly portrays. Replete with an actor who was actually a fucking teenager when he pulled on the fucking tights. Not, as much as I love Andrew Garfield, a 29, 30-year-old man. Or, sorry to say this, I know there's a lot of love for him, I think Tobey Maguire completely miscast. Let's get one thing straight. Tom Holland was born to play Spider-Man, the same way that Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool, the same way that Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. This kid is Spider-Man. But above everything, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Millennial Spider-Man. The quiet genius of this movie, directed by John Watts, is the way that these heroes, i.e. the Avengers, who we've come to grow and love over the past decade, are portrayed actually as uncool grown-ups who basically just don't get what's going on. Robert Downey Jr. is in this, of course, and he's a huge draw in the movie. He can break the silence in any movie, especially when he's Iron Man. No doubt. But he can't avoid or understand the sharp daddy issues surrounding Peter Parker that come into play. Chris Evans makes what's basically a cameo, but they've in a meme-ified public service announcement where he says, "Stay fit and stay in school, kids." Precisely the sort of paternalistic patter regarded as white noise for anyone under the age of 18, personified in this case by Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And as Spider-Man, Tom Holland, finally, after 6 attempts, feels much closer to your average teen, which is basically what Peter Parker's meant to be. Smart, yet insecure, and with a mouth that just won't shut up. Yeah, he's as awkward in the suit as he is out of it, but this is where the movie's clever. I said this is a Spider-Man movie for millennials, and this movie never divulges into the old school, tried and tested, pre-90s formula of nerds versus jocks. Even Flash Thompson in this, played by Tony Revolori, isn't your stereotypical 6'4", blonde-haired muscle jock. They've reinvented him, as they have many characters, but to go into all the character detail would be to give away a few little plot twists and big surprises that happen at the end, which I don't want to do. But as I said, this isn't high school through the prism of an adult, i.e. Stanley or Steve Ditko, the guys who wrote Spider-Man. This isn't high school nerds versus jocks. This is high school in a way that teens would see as being perfectly normal. For example, it is not Peter's decision to be in a band or other school activities that make him uncool, it's actually his decision to quit them. As mentioned, Flash Thompson, his longtime nemesis, isn't a jock anymore. He's part of the same academic decathlon as Peter, but he's also the DJ at the parties. And I've heard some idiots out there trying to say that once again Marvel/Disney are trying to push some sort of diversity or racial agenda. No. The character's diversity is presented casually and without any narrative comment. In fact, I'd actually go so far as to say it's probably a lot closer to real life New York than the monochrome oh so white casting of previous Spider-Man movies and indeed even comic books. But let's get into the story. Yes, the story is basically under the banner of Sony, granted in collaboration with Marvel, but feels completely at home in the MCU. Toomes. Michael Keaton plays Toomes, aka the Vulture. Now, Marvel have for a long time struggled with decent villains. Loki probably being the exception, and I would argue that Ultron was a complete fucking badass. Put Toomes in that pantheon of great Marvel villains. Now I know that's not saying much because we haven't had many great Marvel villains. He's one of them. And I'm not just talking about the fact that Michael Keaton is one of the most underrated best actors on the planet now at the moment. And my god, does he embody this character. The way they have reinvented Toomes, instead of being another millionaire, granted they probably did that, getting a bit nerdy here, because if they made him the millionaire who got younger with a tablet of time, then they were going to have to go into story tangents in the Spider-Man universe they probably don't have time for. And breathe. Back onto the main story. Toomes is essentially brought in right at the beginning of the movie to clear up the Battle of New York. And then Tony Stark, who you could argue is probably at this stage the ultimate villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for some people who are not seeing it from our point of view, Tony Stark creates a cleanup crew. And Toomes kicked off. No money to be made. Sad life. He swears revenge. Yes, the villainy and the actual motivation for the villain can be argued to be quite thin. But then you find out Toomes has got a family to provide for. Then you find out that Toomes has got a daughter to provide for. A daughter who goes to the same school as Peter Parker. All of a sudden, a web of intrigue is spun and the characters start to become quite deep. Web of intrigue. Haha. This movie just captures everything. It even does action better than any other Spider-Man. Now granted, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not my favourite in the installation, but there were some good action scenes in that. Arguably the best action scene of any Spider-Man to date is probably the train scene in Spider-Man 2. I would say that's still up there, but I'm telling you straight up, that final fight against the Vulture is not far off from there. It's good. It's damn good. Everything in this movie works. The way that they've reinvented the characters, the way that they've reinvented Spidey sense. It's now in his suit. His fucking suit gives him Spidey senses, called Karen. You know, it's Stark tech. Just everything works. They've reinvented Spider-Man for a new generation. They've thrown in nostalgic value. Oh my fucking god, speaking of nostalgic value, the Easter eggs at the end. Holy shit, the Easter eggs. I really want to give it away. I really want to share the passion with you. I can't in case you haven't seen it. Holy shit for Spider-Man fans, the Easter eggs at the end. Oh. In conclusion guys, I'm scoring Spider-Man Homecoming 9 out of 10. It is, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man that has ever been made. It fits perfectly into the MCU, it reinvents Spider-Man, it feels fresh, it feels like the Breakfast Club meets the Avengers, it's got a John Hughes feel to it. Everything in this movie works, from the acting, the set pieces, the pacing, the moment it slows down, it just picks up again. Everything works. Spider-Man Homecoming is a Spider-Man movie that is made for my generation, and that's why it feels so special to me. There is something joyful about seeing the characters and archetypes that means so much to me, least of all considering Spider-Man is my favourite superhero, done so damn well. It's a film that's funny, but never ironic, as sweet as it is silly, with characters who can shrug off the most implausible types of injuries, but still suffer from heartache. And bottom line, I cannot wait to see it again and again and again. Marvel and Sony, keep this deal going a long time, boys. Spider-Man has come home. Over to you guys. Have you seen Spider-Man Homecoming? And what did you think of it? Please leave your thoughts in your comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up. And please do let me know, guys, what is your favourite Spider-Man movie? And who was your favourite Spider-Man up until now? Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or maybe the old TV Spider-Man. I can't remember his name. I probably should know that. Anyway, guys, until next time, Nico Lero from the Silver Screen Dudes. See ya!